Many thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi. First on the bulletin, Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party has won the most seats in the parliament, that according to incomplete official results. President Emerson Mnangagwa is poised to win with a substantial majority. However, the opposition MDC alliance has claimed the vote is rigged and says its candidate, Nelson Chamisa, had won. Overseas election monitoring teams are to issue their reports on the parliamentary and presidential poll this Wednesday. It is the first election in Zimbabwe since long-serving ruler Robert Mugabe was ousted and has refused to back his successor. Africa's most populous nation and biggest economy, Nigeria, Eritrea and Guinea-Bissau, are the only African countries that are yet to make any commitment to the African Union's Continental Free Trade Area. That's according to African Union Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat. These three countries have made no commitment to the deal signed in Kigali in March this year. The AU chief said the body's projection was to have all nations on board so that the AFCFTA would enter into force in January 2019. 6 African countries have since ratified the deal, while the vast majority of countries have only signed it. The 6 are Rwanda, Niger, Chad, Kenya, Ghana, as well as Swaziland. 3 others are Tanzania, Zambia, and Botswana. They have only signed the Kigali Declaration but are yet to sign the deal and deposit instrument of ratification with the AU. South Africa will push ahead with plans to amend the constitution to allow land expropriation without compensation, its president says. In a recorded address, President Cyril Ramaphosa said the ruling ANC will finalize a proposed amendment allowing the move. He said the reform was of critical importance to the economy.
The intention of this proposed amendment is to promote redress, advance economic development, increase agricultural production and food security. It will also transform the unjust spatial realities in urban areas.
I believe land expropriation without compensation is a good thing. That's what the country has been looking for, and the people are asking for it. So why not give what the people are asking for?
On how it's rolled out, it depends on what land is targeted and how it is done. It may very well be that it compensates or it brings people into land ownership in respect of land that will not compromise food security in the country.
Actually, we have been waiting for this for a long time as the poor of the poorest, because and then this issue of the investors will go away is not true.
Now, the Speaker of Assembly, Dr. Ali Ahmed, speaking on the floor of the House during the defection Sokoto State Governor's defect from APC to PDP. The Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, has defected from the All Progressives Congress to the People's Democratic Party. He announced his defection at a press briefing in the Government House, Sokoto, in Nigeria, as hundreds of supporters were at the Government House to declare their support for him. The National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, has tendered his resignation to the party leadership. According to a statement he issued in Abuja today, on his unverified Twitter handle, Bolaji Abdullahi, he tweeted, and I quote, "In view of recent political developments in the country and within the All Progressives Congress, I have decided to resign my position as the National Publicity Secretary as well as my membership of the party with effect from today. In the last few days, I have had to endure the flagrant usurpation of my role as the spokesman of the party in a manner that I consider unbefitting of a ruling party and inconsistent with my ethical standards." End of quote. 23 out of the 24 members of the Kwara State House of Assembly today defected from the ruling All Progressives Congress to the People's Democratic Party. Only the members representing Ojomu Balogun constituency of a local government area said APC had been fictionalized. Still on party politics, the defection of Nigeria's President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, to the opposition People's Democratic Party, that's PDP, has continued to generate reactions across the country. Our correspondent, Amadin Uyi, gives us a short analysis of this move, which is expected to affect political calculations ahead of the 2019 general elections.
The defection of the President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, did not come as a surprise to keen observers. This is because his travels started shortly after his election as the President of the Senate. The first controversy was the office of the Deputy Senate President. This was claimed by Senator Ike Ekweremadu from the opposition People's Democratic Party. This, the APC and President Muhammadu Buhari said was unacceptable, and the president stated clearly that the election of Dr. Bukola Saraki was not by the rules. Now, shortly after this statement, we saw the Code of Conduct Tribunal arraign Dr. Bukola Saraki on charges of false declaration of asset while he had sway as governor of Kwara State. This was over 8 years ago. Now, that case went up to the Supreme Court, which was later thrown out by the Apex Court. We had seen in the last few years rift between the executive and the legislature, and many believe that Dr. Bukola Saraki, the president of the Senate, was in a way sympathetic to the opposition People's Democratic Party. In the last few weeks, we have seen defections within the Senate from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party. Now, this clearly paved the way for his defection, because in one day, we saw the APC move from majority in the Senate to minority in the Senate. Now, if you go by the Senate rules says that the Senate president must be from the party in majority. Now, his defection yesterday, which first came via his Twitter handle, and then a press statement, which was later signed by the president of the Senate, said the APC did not meet the yearnings of millions of Nigerians, highlighted and cited issues, cited cases of insecurity, economic development, and national cohesion as one of his reasons. He said after consulting with his constituents, it was time to change ship and move from the APC to the PDP. Now, this definitely changes permutations ahead of the 2019 general elections, because we saw that shortly after his defection, the governor of Kwara State also defected to the opposition People's Democratic Party. Plus TV Africa is following up on these developments and will update you as more information comes in. Amadin Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
Meanwhile, Deputy Senate President of Nigeria, Ike Ekweremadu, has been released on administrative bail after spending hours with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Tuesday. Mr. Ekweremadu had reported himself at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja earlier on Tuesday for questioning over allegations bordering on fraud and money laundering. The EFCC had on the 24th of July invited the Deputy Senate President to its office in Abuja to respond to allegations of conspiracy, abuse of office, and money laundering. Now, the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria has decried what it called the harassment of the Deputy Senate President of Nigeria, Ike Ekweremadu. Opposition leaders and voices of dissent by the All Progressives Congress-led federal government, the party, in a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondiyan, on Tuesday in Abuja, accused the government of misusing the anti-graft and security agencies close to the 2019 general elections. Mr. Ologbondiyan said the current development posed a grave threat to the nation's democracy and urged the international community to stop the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration before it becomes too late. The party was reacting to what it described as a witch hunt against Ekweremadu and by the EFCC. Lawmaker representing Kaduna Central District, Senator Shehu Sani, has advised President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and the National Assembly on the next step to take after the defection of some leaders from the All Progressives Congress. Senator Sani gave his advice in a piece on his Facebook page on Wednesday, one day after Senate President Bukola Saraki and two others announced their exit from the ruling party. In the write-up titled Defections and the Way Forward, Senator Sani said, and I quote, "In view of the current reality, it is possible to have a harmonious working relationship between the parliament led by the opposition and the presidency led by the ruling party in the remaining lifespan of this political dispensation. End of quote. The lawmaker, however, said such objective could only be achieved if the presidency and the National Assembly put the interest of the country first. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered the arrest of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu, for refusing to appear in court. Justice Stephen Pam on Thursday gave the warrant of arrest following Mahmood's absence in court for the third time. The INEC boss on July 10 shunned an order summoning him to appear before the court. Justice Pam had on July 5 ordered Yakubu to appear before him to show cause why he should not be sent to prison for contempt of court. The judge made the order for Mr. Mahmood to appear before it while ruling on a preliminary objection by INEC and its chairman in a contempt proceeding filed by Ejike Ogwegu and Chuks Okoye, chairman and legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party, Anambra State, respectively. The trial judge asked the police to effect the arrest immediately. When we return, we'll bring you the latest development on the US-China trade wars and more. Don't go away. Now it's time to bring you news from the foreign scene. US President Donald Trump defended his trade policies on Tuesday in a speech in Florida and said American farmers hurt by retaliatory tariffs from China were bearing up. In a sign, he is feeling some political heat on the issue. Trump's rally speech in Tampa contained many elements familiar to his political events. Several hecklers were ejected and the crowd at the state's fairgrounds was big and loud. Trump attacked public opinion polls, except one that he said he was popular with. The threatening language of the United States will benefit anyone, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said today, as relations between the NATO allies soured over the case of a US pastor jailed in Turkey on terrorism charges. Speaking to reporters in Ankara, Erdogan said Turkey would not make compromises regarding the independence of the judiciary and said the remarks of the evangelist Zionist mentality in the United States was unacceptable. And Afghanistan will hold its presidential election on April 20, 2019, 6 months after parliamentary and provincial council polls, the country's electoral body announced today. During a televised news conference, Independent Elections Commission spokesman and Commissioner Hafzullah Hashmini said security and funding, as well as the short time frame between elections, would present the biggest challenges to the polls. Almost 14% of 56 of more than 400 districts are fully controlled by the Taliban, while 30% are contested, according to figures by Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction published on Tuesday. Long-delayed parliamentary and provincial council elections in the war-torn country are scheduled for October 20. Parliamentary elections should have been held in 2015. And the Swedish police say a manhunt has been launched for thieves who stole the country's crown jewels and escaped using a speedboat. 2 priceless crowns and an orb belonging to a 17th century king and queen were taken at around midday on Tuesday in Stagnäs near Stockholm. Police spokesman Thomas Agnevik told Swedish media that it was impossible to put an economic value on the jewels as they are invaluable items of national interest. No one was hurt in the theft, but staff who were said to have witnessed the situation were shaken. Police currently have no suspects. It's now time to bring you business reports. Stay tuned. And in business news at this hour, the Central Bank of Nigeria has warned traders against poor handling of Naira notes, saying the law guarding the notes was still subsisting and violating of such laws would attract jail terms. According to the Assistant Director, Currency Operation Department, CBN, Mr. Benedict Maduagu, he says anybody caught mishandling Naira notes would be jailed for 5 years with an option of 50,000 Naira fine. He says if citizens continue to spoil the Naira notes, there will be no money for the commercial banks to give out as loans to customers, and this will affect the economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria has also injected $210 million into the foreign market. In a statement by the Apex Bank, authorized dealers were offered $100 million in the wholesale segment, while the small and medium enterprise segment was offered $55 million. Meanwhile, the Senior Manager Department of Development Finance at CBN, Chinedu Zephaniah, has said SMEs need to convince their respective banks that when they take the money, they will pay back on agreed dates. Following an increase in supply of crude by OPEC, oil prices have dropped as Brent crude futures fell to $74.90 per barrel at 1:09 GMT. This is a decrease against the 0.9% rise on Monday. West Texas Intermediate crude also dropped to $70.80 per barrel. A survey carried out revealed that OPEC increased production in July by 70,000 barrels in a bid to reach the 32.64 million barrels per day. President Donald Trump has suspended Rwanda's right to export clothing duty-free to the United States over Kigali's decision to increase tariffs on imports of used clothing and footwear. The move was seen by many in Washington and Africa as foreshadowing how the Trump administration planned to apply its America First trade ideology on the continent. Despite the suspension, Rwanda will maintain its other duty-free benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, America's flagship trade legislation for Africa.
We expect some Rwandan companies to be affected, particularly C&H. We have a plan for them. We have engaged them, we've discussed with them, and we will be helping them with the transition to new markets. We already know one of the investors in clothing is already looking at European buyers, which has already sent samples to Europe. And so we have a facility that we've put in place to help them within the transition to find new markets. And that support is going to include some of its financial support to pay for some of the costs they will incur to adjust to new markets. When we look at domestic production of clothing, we've actually seen evidence that it has grown, which means that there is a correlation between discouraging second-hand clothing and increase in domestic production, which was the basis of the decision that we made. So it's actually, the evidence is actually showing that it's paying off. So we should just stick to growing our domestic production, which is what our leaders decided at the EAC when the decision was made. The second point that I wanted to also add on that is Rwanda remains very open to engaging the United States as well as any other country on mutually beneficial trade engagement.
We now take a flip to the lighter side of life as we bring you our roundup on entertainment and sports news. Stay tuned.
And in entertainment, Nigerian veteran singer Tony Tetula's mom, Mrs. Cecilia Awotoye, has sadly passed away. The artist took to his Instagram page to share the news, and according to the post, his mom passed away on the 31st of July. And he wrote, "God took you to a better place yesterday. Heaven gained a beautiful angel. Rest in peace. You will always be on my mind. There is no one like you." Tetula is a former member of the Remedies alongside Idris Abdul Karim and Eddie Montana. He ran for a political office in the House of Assembly of Kwara State as a candidate for the All Progressives Congress Party in 2014. Still on entertainment news, pop sensation Rihanna has made history by being the first black woman to ever snag the cover of British Vogue's September issue. She was photographed by Nick Knight and was styled by the editor-in-chief Edward Enninful. The all-important September issue is a definitive 400-page guide to everything in fashion. Inside the issue, the pop phenomenon sports a series of other floral-inspired looks, including a pink ruffled Alexander McQueen jacket. American singer John Legend is set to release his first Christmas album, that is. Reports say he has been busy making over traditional songs for the festive season. His wife, Chrissy Teigen, gave fans a taste of what can be expected by showing a clip of her husband dancing to the tracks while listening through headphones. According to her post, John, who was singing What Christmas Means to Me, is excitedly listening to his Christmas album every day, all day. Although the new material will be his first holiday album, John previously enjoyed festive success with Mariah Carey in 2011 when they recorded a duet version of her song When Christmas Comes in 2011. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. In football, Zenit St. Petersburg have named Manchester United head scout Javier Ribalta as the club's new sporting director after putting pen to paper on a 3-year deal until the end of the 2020-2021 season. And the 37-year-old leaves Old Trafford after just 13 months in his post, having joined from Italian champions Juventus, where he spent 5 years and was known for making intelligent signings. On his new job, the Spaniard said he's very happy to be a part of such a great club. And still on football, Anthony Martial faces being fined £180,000 by Manchester United after missing 8 days since leaving United's training base in Los Angeles to be at the birth of his baby boy in Paris. After the safe arrival of Swan Anthony, he did not return to United's pre-season tour of the United States or report back to Carrington. And Manchester United believe Martial is in a breach of contract, and if the club decides to take action, it could mean that the forward will be hit with a fine of 2 weeks' wages, totaling £180,000. And red and yellow cards will be going for managers to be introduced in the EFL, but it doesn't mean it will be creating drama, says that the competition's chief executive, Sean Harvey. The initiative, revealed at the launch of the new EFL campaign and designed by the International FA Board, that's the IFAB, will run as a trial for the forthcoming 2018-2019 season and will also extend to all cup competitions, including the FA Cup and the National League, with the aim of improving touchline behavior. And referees will now be able to award managers a yellow card for dissent, with a second booking leading to a red card. A straight red card may also be awarded in cases of serious abuse towards match officials or rival coaches and players. And that's all on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Many thanks for watching our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with some more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. My name is David Alabi. Have a great day.